He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Just as he released a bomb, an enemy missile takes a wing off his bomber. He ejects, breaking both his arms and one leg, his bomber washing ashore. McCain would land in a lake in the center of the city of Hanoi. The Vietnamese would pull him out of the water and capture him. They would stab him, beat him, and then take him to a prison camp. Unable to use his hands, he had to be fed by his captors.
He's not a war hero.
The Vietnamese would have an offer. They would tell him he could go home. They hoped it would be a PR coup for them, given how famous his family was. But McCain would refuse.
He's not a war hero.
He told them he didn't want to break the U.S. military code of conduct for POWs. The first man captured must be the first man out.
I badly wanted to go home. I was tired and sick.
McCain would stay another 4 years as a POW.
He's not a war hero.
Half of that in solitary confinement.
But talk about how you personally feel when you have someone who avoided the military draft to go fight in Vietnam criticizing you for making the decision to go, and then when your connections could have gotten you out of active torture, you chose not to take that route, but to stay with your buddies until they all got out.
That there's so many men and some women who served and sacrificed and happened to be held prisoner, and somehow to denigrate that in any way, their service, I think, is offensive to most of our veterans. I just like, there's a Lieutenant John Pettivillano who was shot down during World War II. He's 92 years old. He came to my office thanks to the Air Force. We gave him one of his long overdue decorations. 92 years old, blind, wept when we gave him that award. He was a prisoner and was 90 pounds when he left, when Patton's Tank Corps liberated the prison camp he was in. Those are the people that, frankly, that I find it just totally inappropriate for Mr. Trump to say that he doesn't like to be with people who are captured. I think you are old enough to remember the controversies and the wounds of the Vietnam War. Might have been the only war that you and I ever knew much about, where the veterans were not welcomed home. And that's why I work so hard on the normalization of relations between our two countries, full accounting for those who are missing in action. In other words, put this behind us and move forward. And now we have a good relationship with Vietnam. They've still got a long way to go.
But what about Donald Trump, though? Are you not resentful that a guy that didn't serve in Vietnam is criticizing someone like yourself who still is paying the price day in and day out for what you did and what you endured while in prison camp?
Joe, I put all that behind me. For me to look back in anger at anyone is non-productive, and our country was divided in an almost unprecedented fashion during the Vietnam War. And when I came home, I was shocked. And so I've worked ever since to try to heal those wounds. I spend time with veterans. I do everything I can to help them. As you know, there are major scandals going on. I have 2 pieces of legislation to try to help that issue and the suicide rate, which is so high. The best thing to do is put it behind us and move forward and just express our gratitude.
He's not a war hero.